Welcome to the Live Podcast, the place where brands transform, dreams become reality, and stories become legends. Get ready to elevate your media branding experience with your host, Anita Sanya, the founder of Live Podcast Media. Let's do this. Welcome to the Live Podcast, the place where brands transform, dreams become reality, and stories become legends. Get ready to elevate your media branding experience with your host, Anita Sanya, the founder of Live Podcast Media. Let's do this.
Hi, it's Ann Carden here. I'm a top business growth strategist and the founder of the Expert in You programs and brand. And I'm so excited to be a proud sponsor of the 100 Days Live Podcast with Anita Sanya. Anita is doing such great work out there, and I can't wait to be part of the 100 Days Live Podcast. Anita aligns with what I do in my business to help my clients because I help them really build their influence and step up their game so that they can add that $1 million or even more with ultra high-end clients. I would love to invite you to check out one of my programs called $1 Million Accelerator. It's a mastermind and mentorship program that helps you add that $1 million or even beyond to your business, but do it with high caliber, $25,000 to $125,000 plus clients, months, or paydays. So check that out at annlcarden.com/mastermind. And if it looks like something that you would like to be part of, then you can apply there. Have an amazing day, and don't forget to be part of the 100 Days Live Podcast with Anita Sanya.
Hello, good morning from Bali, Indonesia. Good evening, Dan. Thank you so much for being here. We are on 100 Days Live Podcast now.
It is great to be here with you, Anita. Nice to see you. And nice to be joining such illustrious company. As I was seeing that intro and all those faces of people I know and respect, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you know, the good news is right now we are sponsored by Ann Carden from Expert in You, right? She is coach and consultant, but for the the high ticket clients. But she never mentioned that she is the coach of and consultant of 6-7 figures. So very humble lady. I love her. And then the good news that I would like to tell you and the audience now here is Ikem has just come in as a sponsor also. Woo! That I can use Ikem tomorrow. See, you bring out to my children. And Katie Fix sent her greetings to you this morning when I ran into the studio. So it's very dark in the studio. Like, you know, I'm very scared of the dark. So I saw the studio in the dark. That's why. So now I'm a bit sweating because I'm a bit scared in the studio alone right now. So here I am.
Great.
And today we are going to talk about 3 hallmarks of professionalism that drive business growth and profit, right? So, what is the 3 hallmarks actually? I'm curious now.
Well, let's start with the basic premise that the real key or the fundamental thing, if you want to succeed in, well, really any kind of business, but especially the creative businesses, live streaming, podcasting, YouTube, all of the creative forms of entrepreneurship. The real key is bringing a kind of professionalism to the game. And, we think very hard about professional quality sound and professional cameras and having good lighting and everything, the content being as professional as possible. And I think that what we need to do is sort of take that to another level. And the framework that I am talking about, the fundamental keys to that kind of professionalism starts up here in your head. You have to think like a professional. That is, having the mindset of professionalism, of success, of growth, of profitability, being able to pre-visualize how your outcomes are going to be, not just today or tomorrow, but in 5 years, 10 years, and so on. Having a real vision for where you're going and how you're getting there is a sign of professionalism. The second part of it is having planning like a professional. So it's one thing to dream and have a big vision. It's another to sort of know what your steps are going to be. Now, of course, there's no plan that ever survives, as the military folks would say. No battle plan survives first contact with the enemy, right? But having the plan means that you've thought through where you're going and what the steps are going to be, so that when something bumps you off track, you can come back onto the track and stay focused with your plan. And so having a business plan, having a marketing plan, having a content plan, if you're going to be doing this live streaming stuff, knowing what you're going to be talking about, not just today, but next week and the week after, having a story arc to follow is a great way to elevate the level and the quality of what you're doing, so that you are always moving toward your goals. And so I
agree.
Yeah. Then the third component, and this is the hard one for people, is
I'm not ready for the hard one. I'm so sleepy.
The hard thing that a lot of people have trouble with is just doing what professionals really do. Thinking legit, planning legit, and behaving legit. Doing the things that we professionals, that all professionals really do. Starts. It isn't something you wait until you have reached a certain level. It's you do it first so that you reach that level. And so for me, being the lawyer, being the guy who helps entrepreneurs to get their legal and business things in order, so that they are ready for the growth and success, so that they're ready to take bold action. Because let's face it, bold action toward our goals is the way we get there. And sometimes that means taking some risks, calculated risks that you figure out. And one of the hurdles that people have with taking risks and being that bold is they're afraid. They're concerned, I'm not protected, it's unsafe, I'm not doing it right, or all those kinds of things. And so my message, I guess, is when you get the business and legal affairs in your enterprise, whatever it is, whether it's a podcast or a live streaming business or any other kind of business, when you get those legal and business affairs in order, that's what positions you to take those risks, to be that bold, to grow and profit and achieve the kind of success that you plan and envision. So, what are the things that you do to be a professional?
Yeah, you are right. That is the hard one, not only because of the government rules here. We don't really have the rules for the live streamers and podcasters yet. For the content creators, what we know is like we cannot do this, we cannot do that. You know what I mean? Like because everything's it seems that everything is related to the religion here. Even the culture, the cultures are mostly related to the religion, right, or influenced by the religion. That's why I don't talk about politics or religion or something like that, because it is a very sensitive discussion here. There are many people who talk about it, but I don't think that is my experts. That's why I decided to go international. Yeah. Then I meet the experts like you. And you have your own show, right? And you perform mostly about legal, also for content creators, for podcasters, and also for live streamers. How do you keep up the update, also the technology? Because now with the AI, it seems that because there is no certain rule for the law, I think, right? Legally, I mean, because it keeps growing with AI. People can make the sound and voice and music for free online, and we don't know about the legality, about the royalty and everything, or we can use it in our opening like this, something like that. Would you like to explain a little bit about your show, Gordon?
Sure. I mean, there are always new things that come into the world that are disruptive, that really shake things up and make us change the way we think about things or the way we do things. And when you're dealing with things that have legal implications, legal and business implications, the law is slow. It doesn't change overnight. Well, sometimes we have sudden changes, but we won't get into the politics around that. But the point is, it usually takes a while for the law to catch up with the new technologies. And I think in general, that's a good thing, because we don't want to have reactionary swings back and forth, from the middle to way over here on one thing. Oh, no, that's too much. So we're going to go way over in the other direction. So we let it percolate and we let it sit and we let it take its time so that we can figure out how to best handle these kinds of things. And it's the nature of the legal process that we have our legislative authorities making new rules, or we have courts interpreting old rules in light of new fact patterns. And it takes a while. So what we can say about AI in the creative world right now is we don't know whether these AI that have all trained by listening to music and ingesting content from all over the internet, whether that's been legal or not. And that's a big concern. There's a lot of lawsuits against the AI companies right now that are asking that question. We'll see an answer to that in a few years, probably another year or two before we start to see some responses. But on the other side of it, here in the US at least, and in most countries around the world as I understand it, the regulatory authorities have established some rules about who owns what the AI makes. And so can you use something that came from AI to create an intro music for your podcast or your live stream? Or can you use an image that was created by AI? And the answer is yes, you can use those things, as long as it's not a copy of someone else's things. So if you want an image of Darth Vader wearing a Spider-Man suit, I think that Marvel and Disney are going to have some words about that.
I didn't know that. What about if it is the children on our YouTube or something like that? There are children on TikTok and YouTube also who perform with the suit and then the Spider-Man and Iron Man, something like that.
Yeah. Look, I mean, sometimes these companies don't care that much about those kinds of things. Sometimes they do. And so,
as long as it's not viral yet.
But so back to the AI for a second. So, if you got that image and you used it, the Disney and Marvel might have some problems with your using their trademarks and presenting something in a way that maybe misleads consumers or something like that. But generally, if you've got something that is generated by that AI, it's okay to use it as long as it's not too much of someone else's material in it. The trouble is that when you go to the trouble of training or having an AI output something for your show, music or a script or pictures that you want to use, you aren't able to claim ownership over that material. The government here in the US and China is an exception, but many other countries have said if it's not generated or made by a human, then it isn't entitled to copyright protection. And what that means is you can do a great piece of music or something, but anybody else who wants to copy it is sort of free to do that. And there's nothing that you could do other than just keep it secret to yourself as much as possible. So this is one of the areas where the AI stuff is really shaking up how we do things. Look, I'm in favor. I'm a creator myself, and I love working with creators. I think make original stuff as much as possible. And if you do use AI, make sure you build on what the AI gives you. So let it do an outline, let it do a framework, and then you can dress that up to fulfill the originality requirements that are needed.
And because of this progress, the development is really, really fast. Sometimes we as a content creator and entrepreneur, business owners cannot catch up with it. And how do you protect your clients? I believe that your clients run to you because of this matter, right? And then right now, just some time ago, that my live stream were removed from Facebook because it is considered spam. I don't know why. Maybe because I put the our live stream on Facebook. Maybe because of the link that I mentioned on the description, it can happen, right? Yes, we are live on my personal Facebook, yes.
Oh, great.
And then also on YouTube.
Okay, good.
And then the page is Live Podcast Insider. I couldn't connect to live podcast media or something like that. See, the platform can be very, very overwhelming for us, the content creator.
Of what happens when you're live, right?
That's true. And then how do you protect your clients for the development in content creating?
Well, I'll tell you that this AI concern isn't that big of a thing in my practice right now. And mainly I'm giving my advice to clients, telling them, hey, be original, use these tools, but then build on it, make sure you're doing that. But the ways that I really protect my clients and the things that I think that solopreneurs can do for themselves to protect themselves are, look, having solid foundation. That foundation really is, if you're going to be in business, think like a business, plan like a business, act like a business. And that means actually make it a business, form a company, a corporation, or a limited liability company. Here in the US, that would be the model. In other places, it's a little different. But the point being, when you start to build that frame, that foundation, everything else sort of rises up and follows. So having that business structure, the entity provides some shields from risk and liability. It helps you raise money if you have to. It helps be a place that that your employees, your team all work for, so everybody knows the structure, who's the owner, those kinds of things. And it's a great way to set up the relationships between, if you're working with co-hosts and co-producers and partners and all that.
Okay, I understand now.
In that framework, I call that sort of a podcast prenup. It's a way of clarifying the natures of the relationships between the members of a company or of the project. And I think it's a great idea. The next thing after the entity structure is having a team structure. The old saying, Anita, is if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And real success depends on not trying to do everything yourself all the time. Having helpers. Maybe it's a video editor, maybe it's a virtual assistant who just deals with your email or a bookkeeper or whatever. But building a team is very important to long-term sustainable growth and profit. And so what that means is having good contracts with your team, onboarding everybody with a contract and explanation so they understand who's the boss and who owns the stuff that they create, because that is not always the way you think it should. Just because you're paying for someone to do some work for you, if it's copyrightable work, they still own it unless they're your employee or they have a written contract that specifies that you own it. So it's a little counterintuitive. So that having your team all on board, again, podcast prenup, something that establishes the relationship at the beginning so everybody knows who's entitled to what and who's responsible for what and who gets how much money or how they get paid and sharing the revenues and all those kinds of things.
Even though it hasn't been big yet. So this is like before starting the podcast, right?
Well, you know, I would recommend, I'd prefer people get things out of the way before they start. But the realist in me knows, look, people are excited about starting something. Let's not.
That's why we don't think about such thing when we do something in the beginning. And after that, there is a dispute because the show become very, very huge, and then the advertisers, the sponsors start to come, and they don't know how to share the revenue and everything, Gordon. So.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes we're starting something and we're not sure it's going to work, or we're not sure we're going to like doing it, or
yes,
I realize how hard
agree.
it can be until we've been doing it a while. So, you know, look, if you're sure, if you're gung ho, you're dead certain you're going to stick with this thing, then yes, start the company and bring everybody on board. I would say bringing everybody on board with clear contracts or at least email exchanges that clarify the relationships is very important. As you start to get further down the path towards success, of course, you're going to want to build this out more and do more of these things. And the third thing that I want folks to really think about and be professional about is their intellectual property. Not just protecting one's own stuff, but also obviously respecting what other people own. And that means not just using a piece of music or a picture or a poster in the background of your set or whatever, because those things can bring you some real trouble. But getting permission and doing the licensing is important. When it comes to you protecting your own work, well, everybody should understand that when you make something original, you own a copyright and it's yours from the moment that it was created. It isn't necessary to necessarily go and register something with the government. And only a few countries actually have a registration system, the US being one of them. But it can be a good idea, and it's relatively easy, do-it-yourself kind of stuff with fairly low cost. But it's not something everybody's doing every day. The other side of it is the trademark, the brand. When I call myself the podcast lawyer, you see my little TM on my name there.
Yes.
I am telling the world, this is my brand. This is how I identify.
Okay. And it's been legalized. You cannot copy.
Well, I'm right. I mean, the TM is actually not a registered trademark. It's a common law indicator, because I'm
okay.
You'd have to build up a secondary. This is a very descriptive term, so I have to build up some secondary meaning, and I think I'm there. But the point being, letting the world know that you're claiming this title, and the best way to do that is to register your trademarks. That's not so easy. That's something that a lot of folks need a lawyer to help them with. But it is possible to do it yourself if you have the right tools and information and stuff at your fingertips. And one of the things I, as a lawyer, try to do is make as much of that information available for free. And then if you really want to get into the teach me how to do it, Gordon, I have a course, and I have online templates and forms and things like that as well. So
yes.
For every budget level, I guess you could say.
I didn't know that you have a course. I thought that you have the show also to educate people about the law as a content creator, as a podcaster. And then you live in LA, right? Because you started in Los Angeles, right, for this business before.
Yeah. So right, I've been practicing as an entertainment and media lawyer for 32 years now. And
wow.
When I discovered podcasting for myself, I fell in love with it. And of course, I was looking to make sure I was doing things by the book.
Yes.
I found out that there wasn't a book. There wasn't any, any definitive source of information about how to do it all legally. So I started researching it and so on. Pretty soon I realized I had the makings of a book in front of me. And that's what I did. I wrote a book called The Podcast Blog and New Media Producers Legal Survival Guide. And when you write a book, that's what makes you an expert. And that's how you position yourself in the marketplace as an expert with a brand. So I created the book. And as you said, I love to educate folks. I love to teach and partly hear the sound of my own voice, but I like to help people understand the boundaries and where the guardrails are, and when it's okay to kind of push across those boundaries a little bit in those bold decisions and risks that I was talking about. So that's why I created the course. It's called Easy Legal for Podcasters. You see,
Easy Legal,
and it's actually part of a larger brand. Easy Legal Enterprises, or Easy Legal Brands is what I call it. I have a course for documentary filmmakers, and I have a course for digital entrepreneurs, people who are making courses and things like that. But the podcasting course is the flagship of my brand. So I just love to help folks in any way I can.
Wow, and congratulations for your milestone. This is really amazing. You are like a celebrity lawyer, in my opinion. So I think it's not.
Just ask my kids. They'll say, "Oh, he's not all that."
That's right. So actually, your technique shouldn't be the podcast lawyer, Gordon. It should be the celebrity lawyer. You know what I mean? So, And then you will be on my podcast insider cover next month. I cannot wait on the 15th of September. So that is the best, what is it, birthday present for me. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's really been my pleasure. Hey, can I just invite, this is a live streaming thing. So if you don't mind,
Yes.
I'll just invite everybody. I do 2 live streams every week. On Thursday afternoons, I record my podcast, Legit Podcast Pro, which I'm giving tips and strategies and talking about various things. I do it as a live stream, just like you're seeing here, talking head to the camera on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So please join me 4 p.m. Pacific time for Legit Podcast Pro, or listen to it later.
What time? Gordon, we can put the link in the comment after this because I don't know where we go live stream now.
Oh, okay. Well, YouTube is the place to find me. Just G Firemark and you'll see me. The other thing I do on YouTube every Tuesday evening is just a live Q&A where I just love, look, I love to have people give me questions. And so it's 7 p.m. on Tuesday evenings, my time here in Los Angeles, Pacific time. And I'll talk for 30 minutes or an hour and answer questions. And maybe I'll have a topic of some sort that I want to talk about anything to do with entertainment, media, business, and entrepreneurship and the legal side of that. So that's the invitation.
Thank you so much. And do you have startup clients? It seems that you only work with big clients. So what about the startup clients who don't know how they will go in this industry, Gordon?
Well, look, no client is too small to need my help.
Wow.
And no client is too big either, of course. But no, I love working with small businesses and entrepreneurs. So, look.
This is why I love you. Also, you help everyone.
Well, we can't be all things to everybody. So there are going to be some of you. If you don't have much of a budget, then get my free stuff. Watch the videos, download the stuff. Go to GordonFiremark.com for more information about me and what I do. And when you have a little budget to learn how to do some of these things yourself, then maybe look at the course or the online forms and templates. And if you want it done for you, then I'd love to be the helper that you need and help you accomplish what you need, because I want to get you to that 6 and 7 figure creator mark.
Wow. And then how do you manage your time and energy for all of this? You are a great content creator. I see you on many shows also for other brands, other live streamers and podcasters, but also you create your own content, but still you have many clients in this industry, Gordon.
Yeah. Well, how do I do it? I mean, part of it is I've decided that it needs to be a priority, creating this content. And for me, look, it's marketing, right? When I'm visible and people know me and they see that I have a smile on my face and I'm a relatively approachable person, that helps my business. So
I got it now. Okay.
That's part of it. But the real key is having systems and having appointments with myself to do the things that need to be done, so I don't miss things, right? As a lawyer, I have to be very precise and careful about the things that I'm doing for my clients. I treat it the same way for me. And so that's why I have these scheduled times for my productions. And I also have scheduled times to do the prep work for those productions. So I know I do it at lunchtime on Mondays and Tuesdays. I plan out my talk for the Thursday live show, so I know what the topic's going to be, and I use AI to help me create an outline. Once I pick a topic, I'll say, give me an outline of the 5 keys to talk about this. And that's what I use when I'm giving my presentation. So having the tools, having the systems, the processes, and blocking the time out so that you're going to do it. And that's really important. There are certain boundaries and uncrossable lines. I tell my family, don't expect me to come pick you up at school after 4 o'clock on.
Wow.
I'll be busy.
But I still see that you have time for cooking also. I'm very proud of it. Not all of the men can do that, especially with a busy lawyer like you. What I mean is like you still have for. Is that a hobby or your obligation in the family about cooking and something like that?
I think I'm doing an okay job. My kids will always, they'll tell their shrinks what a terrible father I was at some point. Everybody.
Wow. I'm sorry about that, but all fathers I think have that kind of experience, right? There is no perfect father, only perfect Santa Claus and perfect lawyer.
Perfect is unattainable. I do the best that I can, and I'm that I'm mostly getting it right.
I'm really happy to hear that. Is that okay if we return to the first, three fundamental, not only the, let me see, the first point, you talk about also the vision, right? Building the vision. And yeah, what about us, the people, for example, I'm breaking up. And what about the people who do not have big vision to build their business or to be the experts in the industry? Some people just like me, I'm learning by doing. I have big vision, but some people cannot build their vision. They just do it, like the river flowing, like the river water, right? So, how can we build the vision that way?
Well, I think there are a number of exercises that you can look. Not everybody needs to have that big vision. If you are in it just to have a good time and it's a hobby and it's not something that you're trying to make a living or generate profit from, I mean, maybe you will, and maybe it'll take off and you can develop the vision when you know it's going to be successful. But this professional approach that I'm talking about isn't for everyone. We just have to be honest about that. But if you're really serious about making a living from this, or even as a side hustle, part of your living, then that's where having a vision is important. And I would say, ask yourself why. Why am I going to do this? What's it going to get me? And then when you answer that why, continue to keep diving deeper with the question, why this? Why this? Why this? Until you really get to the core of what your values and your mission really behind it are, and that will help you figure out what your vision might look like, or at least it gets you pointed in the right direction. And then take some time to shut up, to be quiet, to sit and let your thoughts stew. And when I say some time, I don't mean 15 minutes. I mean, give yourself a day. Go sit on a beach somewhere. Have a peaceful day without your devices and your computer. Bring a pad of paper and a pen and just...
I wish I could do that even though I'm on the beach. Stay with my mobile phone and laptop.
Yeah, I think that letting your mind quiet down and being away from all of your daily distractions really, really helps. And if you start to write things down, there's something about pen on paper, not typing into a computer or a phone, that helps us think in a different way. And I would say your vision will start to come to you. Just think about, where do I want to be in a year? Where do I want to be in 5 years? What is it going to look like? Who am I helping? Why am I doing these things? What's the reason behind it? And eventually it will start to come together for you.
So it's not an old school when we have the paper. I have my paper also here, you see.
Yeah.
But here, if you are in a cafe or somewhere and you are with a paper and not on your mobile, you are the weird one. You know what I mean? People will consider you, oh my God, what's happening to her or something like that, Gordon. Does it happen there also in the United States? If you are not on the mobile phone, then people will see you differently.
I'm sorry, I had a little trouble hearing what you were saying. But
yeah, I mean, like... does it happen in the United States also when you are in a cafe or somewhere sitting down and you are not on mobile phone, then the people will stare at you or look at you that you are the strange one, the weird one compared with the modern society? Everyone is on mobile phone, everyone is on hassles, everyone is on hurry, right? So,
I think that we have to embrace the things that make us different and unique. And it's unfortunate that in American politics, the word weird has now been sort of taken and become a rallying cry for the politics. I don't want to get into it, but I'm okay being weird and strange and different and those kinds of things, because that's what makes me who I am. And what I do is, I have a conviction that I'm here to help people a certain way, and being visible and offering, most lawyers would think, why are you spending so much time with cameras and microphones? And
that's what I'm thinking also, because lawyers are very, very busy in details, with the documents, with the drafts and everything too, right?
Yeah. Look, I'm going to embrace my strangeness, and folks who like me will like me, and folks who don't, well, that's what the world is about. It keeps us turning around, and I'm good with it.
And even I got one more golden nuggets today from you, like building the vision. People always say why, about why, but you also mentioned where do we want to go from here. So it's very rarely that I hear that kind of statement to make our vision and mission and goals. And then how do you plan your goals? Is it for the long term? Or the short term, and how long do you plan for it, for creating your goals?
My course?
Goals. Not only in personal life, but also especially in business, and also as a content creator, of course.
I missed something. I apologize, Anita.
No problem. I mean, about goals. How long do you plan for your goals? Or
how long am I planning? How do I?
Yes. Is it for the short term or the long term? And how long does it take for you to plan your goals? Maybe for the 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, Gordon?
So
it was really interesting to know you that way, from the other side, not only from the law side, from the business side.
I don't do a lot of, I don't think in terms of my goals so much. I have some goals. They're sort of internalized. It's that vision that I'm talking about. But I think I have a fairly long-term view of things. I'm thinking about, hey, I'm getting old. I'm thinking about retirement at some point.
No. Please do not retire before I become rich and famous, okay?
Well, look, I've got to get my kids through school and all of that. It's a long way off before I'm retiring. But, I think about how do I want to spend my time? Not just today and tomorrow, but how do I want to be spending my time 10 years from now?
In Bali, coming here. You're welcome.
Well, it's, actually, the Asian Pacific world is calling. It's beckoning for me. So I'm going to be there before you know. But, thinking about how I want to spend my time. And then what do I have to do today to get myself there? And some of that is business related. Some of that is just, hey, I need to think about my bank accounts, and I need to make sure my money is protected and working for me. And I also need to think about, do I need to learn another language, or do I need to understand a culture? So, just if I'm planning a trip next week, I think about, did I do my laundry? Do I have to go to the dry cleaner, pick up the things so I can pack and go? It's the same thing, just a longer game.
So you are a human being anyway, not a robot. Because I always think that you are very active and productive also. And now, more question. How do you plan your content? Because just like today, I asked you about the topic, you come very fast. And I don't know, what time did I chat to you the last before I went to sleep?
Before you went to sleep, it was about 8 o'clock my time in the morning.
Oh my God!
Rushing around getting my kids today was the first day of school. So,
yes.
So just a few hours ago, really, we coordinated
11.
What the topic would be.
Yep.
That's another tip, Anita, is always have something in your pocket that you can pull out when it's time to give a talk or go live or something that you can share without having to prepare too heavily. Look, I can always go through this framework that I've talked to you about, and it's different every time. It's not a script, but I know my talking points. And for those who are thinking, what am I going to talk about? Oh, I'm supposed to go live in an hour. What am I going to talk about? Pull that out and pick something and just revamp it and make it something a little different, a little new, come out of a different way. So it's good exercise.
It's a good exercise in the long term, also in the short term or the long term for this.
All of it.
Awesome. And then actually, I know that time runs very fast. Even though there are many questions, I would like to interrogate you. And then, what are the challenges that you face as a content creator today?
Challenges that I face as a content creator,
especially talking about the laws and legals to deliver them is not easy. I know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel fortunate that I remain interested in the law and the legal. So there's always something I can learn myself and then turn around and share it. And sometimes it's just a matter of thinking about things from a slightly different angle. So what I really try to do is, well, I do a little bit of research. I look at keyword research and what are people searching for on the internet and on YouTube and those kinds of things. That sort of gives me some ideas about directions. And also just what are the questions people are asking me in my practice, when I talk to a client or those kinds of things. And I usually will be able to take one of those and turn that into a topic for an episode. But as I said, I have a long range plan for my episodes. So I know that every month I'm going to touch on 3 or 4 of the same topics. Again, I'm going to come at it a new way, but I've got the same sort of topics to cover. I always talk about trademarks. I always talk about these fundamentals that I was talking about with you. I talk about protecting your intellectual property. I talk about understanding copyright law so you're not getting in trouble for using other people's stuff. Last week, I brought in an additional topic. What about when you have kids in your podcast? Are there special considerations to be thought about there? And that led to a question, so I made another video. But the hardest thing for me, the challenge really isn't about what to talk about or knowing what's a topic of interest, but it's really just being motivated. There are days when I just come in and I'm sitting here and I think, wow, I got to turn those lights on, turn on the camera. I've got to go live in an hour. I know what I'm supposed to talk about. I just don't feel it. I'm not excited about it or whatever. Or I'm watching my numbers, which is, I look at my statistics and I realize, only 80 people watched that video. And I just have to get into a place mentally where I realize, wait a minute, if I had a room with 80 people in it listening to what I had to say, I'd be pretty happy about that. So my YouTube, my podcast, whatever, if that gets 80 views, 80 downloads, hey, that's success. So it's reframing things for me. But the motivation is sometimes a big challenge.
That's true, and it is very nice actually, even though my community is not big, but then I get the notification from FitIQ or TubeBuddy, for example, then you know that the people actually watch, even though maybe they don't comment or they don't put the like, or I see them later actually. And then the other question is, what do your clients mostly have in the, how do you call it, in the regarding to their podcast when they consult with you or when they work with you about legal?
What are the things that we have to do with most of my clients?
Yeah, I mean, what are their problems mostly have?
One of the big, I won't call it a problem because I don't think of myself as a lawyer who fixes problems, but I think of a lawyer who tries to prevent them on the beginning of things. So
I agree.
A lot of what I spend my time doing is negotiating deals where my client, last week I negotiated a deal with my client's going to be producing a new podcast for someone else, a radio show actually, but also as a podcast. And he's going to be the man in charge of the production. He's not the host, but he's the guy behind the scenes. And we negotiated his deal with the company, the radio station, and the host, and made that deal, the structure happen. Trying to put the relationships in place, those prenups that I was talking about. The other side of it, of course, is I do get a fair amount of calls from people saying, my host and I have been together for 4 years and she stopped doing all the work that she was doing, so now I'm doing all the work, but now we're getting advertisers, and she wants her half. And
4 years. What about Todd and Robin, you guys been doing together more than like 15 years, for example? Wow.
Yeah. So
they're really good together.
Yeah. So sometimes we end up making a new contract between them, and sometimes we end up managing a fight, or a way of ending the relationship. And so that's where, knowing how to be a lawyer about things, it really can help too.
Because when it happens, it's not good for the show, right? Maybe the people love the show, and because of the legal thing, maybe about just a little spark that lead this dispute, then everything will ruin the image and then the show itself, right? And then the people have nowhere to go anymore to consult, because I know some people who really learn from the podcast, right? And then also the other question, what do you think? What is your opinion about podcast is the new radio? Because the radio industry is declining, less advertisers, but podcast grows very fast. And then now they mentioned that YouTube has the podcast also. Well, I don't know if it is the real podcast or not, even though YouTube also provide the RSS feed, right?
Yeah, a lot of it depends on how you define what a podcast is. Of course, YouTube has its definition, and the guys, look, the people we're talking about at the hosting companies,
yes,
who have a very strong opinion that no, if it's not an RSS feed.
Todd
Cochran. Hello, Todd. I always look forward to my time spent with Todd talking about next week in Washington. But is podcasting the new radio? One of the things I always say, and I talk to a lot of folks who have come from radio. They were a DJ or a program manager at a radio station, and now they're starting a podcast or a podcast network or something. And the first thing I say is, look, you're coming out of radio, and you know how to do production, and you know how to do storytelling, and you know how to read an ad, and those kinds of things. But you know what? Podcasting is a different medium, and it has different rules. Radio, because it's fleeting and it comes and goes and it's done, the legal side of it is a little different. With podcasts, we're creating something that's going to be permanent. It's sitting there for a long time. We want to make sure our legal T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and all of that. But that said, I love the way consuming podcasts is taking over for radio. More and more people listening in their cars or while they're at the gym and those kinds of things, and consuming something other than just the same 40 songs in the rotation for music or the talk radio. They're getting a diversity of things, and so I'm very excited about podcasting. I think that video is going to take over a chunk of it, because I'll tell you what YouTube has and Facebook and other video streaming sites have that podcasting doesn't, is a recommendation engine. If I watch enough of something of a certain topic on YouTube, you can bet that YouTube's going to show me more of the stuff that I've been watching. And the other experience, you do a search for something because you want to learn how to make an XYZ, and next thing you know, your feed is filled with XYZ videos. That's both a good and a bad thing. But podcasting doesn't have, if you like that episode, well, how do you know you're going to like the next one? Or how do you find another one that you like? So that's a challenge I think podcasting needs to overcome. And also monetization in podcasting. The advertising model works if you're a big show. It doesn't work so well if you're small. And there's a lot of movements in the direction of micropayments and what they call value for value podcast and so on. And I'm excited about those, but I think we're still a ways off from seeing it really get traction.
I agree. And then also some people discuss in Facebook groups, like if you are small with the advertisement that do not align with your program, that it will ruin your show. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think that a lot of podcasts. In fact, I just was dealing with a client with this, that they asked me, how do we get sponsors? They haven't even launched their show yet. How do we get sponsors? Well, I said, well, launch your show and get 20 or 30 or 40,000 downloads per episode. And then you go get sponsors. Well, how do we make money from this if not that? Well, I'm not sure that it is a money maker immediately out the gate, unless
the same with YouTube, yes,
your own to sell. So create an online course or offer an ebook or something that you can promote, and use the podcast as the marketing for your own products rather than advertisers' things. There's lots of ways to monetize podcasts. As I'm sure you've talked to Dave Jackson, who has lots of ideas about monetizing podcasts.
Yes, he was our first guest speaker on 100 Live Podcast this time. With Rob Greenlee that opens it. I don't have many guest speakers this time because I got the idea from Dr. Terry Levine that solo podcast is better to reach our needs or create our community and also create our market online. And I learned from you also about that, because you have a very, very specific need. So when you build your podcast, which one is better or which one is the priority? We build our needs, or we do the research which needs that we want to work with. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the needs are different than what we plan. The clients who come to us, Gordon.
Yeah. Well, look, I think you have to, again, start with that vision. So you're going to figure out your niche at the beginning, but you also have to be ready and willing and able to pivot in the direction that things, I'm not saying just go wherever the wind pushes you, but being thoughtful about, it looks like that when I talk about this topic, I get twice as many people as when I talk about that topic. So let me focus more on the winning topic rather than the less exciting one. And your direction will shift. But again, you're still heading toward your goals or your vision, but you have to let the audience be a part of the equation, right? And share.
Asking what they need, asking what their problems are. I agree with you that actually not the exciting topic is the winning topic. People will learn after that, but it takes a long time until the people understand our goals and vision for the show, right?
Yeah.
In the beginning, they are interested in the intro, the music, the voice, the sound, not the content itself. So, what do you think about that? Because you have a very, very nice opening also in your podcast. I love it.
Thank you. Look, I came from professional television production background before I became
okay. Then I know where it is from.
Yeah. So, I only did that for a couple of years and then was into lawyering, but now I've been doing this much longer. But the theory behind catch their interest and grab them, and there's lots of content. I'm not going to teach you how to make good content. That's something else for someone else to do. But you do have to capture your audience's interest. In teaching, one of the things they say is, look, if you need to teach, if your audience needs a bit of information, but they're not interested in it, first you have to get them to pay attention. So give them what they want, so you can give them what they need. And so it is very important to pay attention to what the audience wants. And look, if it's completely different and not what you want to be doing, well, then think about finding a different audience. But if you've got an audience and they want something that you can deliver, solve a small problem for them, that will open up an opportunity to solve more problems for them, different problems, larger problems. And that's the recipe for success in any business, is solve your clients or your audience's problems, and they'll come back for more.
Wow, this is really, really amazing this morning that you share more. Even though I cannot wait for you to be covered on Live Podcast Insider next month. It will be great for our audience and subscribers also to see how your journey started actually. So the good title is Behind the Podcast Lawyer. The secret behind the podcast lawyer. Gordon, it's been an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for always supporting me on my programs, on my show. You even sponsored me before and like podcast media. And thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here. And then how can people reach you easily if they have questions or they would like to work with you?
Well, Anita, thank you so much. The honor has been all mine, really. But to find me on the web, GordonFiremark.com. Just spell out my name.com, and you'll land on the hub of the things that is my stuff. Or go to YouTube and search for me. G Firemark is my handle on most social media sites, Facebook and so on. And reach out to me through the DMs or something like that. It's always a easy way. And if you're looking to hire a lawyer, well, then Firemark.com is the law firm's website.
Thank you so much. This is really, really great. I have good materials for my book also for next year.
Wonderful.
So do not forget to always welcome me to invite you to my event and my program, Gordon. And have fun next week on the podcast movement with our people, our friends.
I'm excited to be there. I was telling you I had to make sure I did my laundry, so I have my clothes.
There is the laundry there. It's everywhere here. As a digital nomad, it is the very easy thing to find here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Karen, for this morning. I have to go also, and I know that you are very busy, and now it's your dinner time there, and have a great rest also this evening. Enjoy your evening. And ladies and gentlemen, our live podcasters, I will see you tomorrow. And I will go solo again tomorrow to talk about the media branding. It will be more detailed this time. And thank you so much, Gordon. I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.